Hello YouTube. I have been getting a lot of questions about this move, okay? And players and coaches, other coaches and whatnot are asking me why I do this when I hit. And it's something that a lot of historically good hitters do. Just off the top of my head, pretty much all good Hall of Fame hitters. Bonds, of course, had a big, what could be called by some people would call it a hitch. I call it a hand load, and I don't know that there's a specific terminology for it, so I'm just going to call it a hand load. Ruth was, way back here. Garrett was back here. Williams was here. Bonds. Some guys have huge hand loads. Mel Ott had just this tremendous hand load where he'd take the bat almost down to here. So the question is why do they do it, and what's it for, and what does it accomplish? And it's a really good question. To counter that, and something that's come in conflict with that, and one of the reasons why I've had a lot of questions about it, is there's a current of thought or a philosophy in hitting today that teach the kids to keep their hands really still. And I think I think one of the proponents of that is a guy that came up with a Super 8 system, Joe Brockhoff, and he teaches this, keep the bat, this is the extreme of that. He teaches them to keep the bat on their shoulder until they're here, and then fire their hands at the ball. That seems to fly in the face of what so many good hitters do when they're doing this. So I think I figured it out. This will deal with rotational hitting. This will deal with what's called linear hitting or rotation. You'll have, by the end of this video, you should understand all of it. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Darren Gleiser, and I am a baseball coach in Southern Idaho, high school level. As far as my baseball career, I was drafted by the California Angels in 1988. I then took a baseball scholarship to Gonzaga University, where I pitched and played the outfield. I was drafted as a shortstop, and I was also offered a contract as a pitcher, which kind of a distinction there. I don't know many guys that get drafted that get offered contracts as both position players and pitchers. Kind of my claim to fame. Well, anyway, I had an exceedingly average college career, and the reason why is I didn't learn how to hit. And sounds weird. You go to college, you go to college baseball program, you played high school, you got drafted, you didn't know how to hit. Well, it sounds kind of funny, but I didn't learn how to hit actually until I was playing softball when I was 36. I finally kind of figured it out, put the pieces together. What I did in college was what I call arms hitting, and basically I would just swing my arm at the ball. I would turn, brace right here, and then punch at the ball. And I think probably the majority of amateur players hit like this. I call it the iron pyrite of baseball because it works. And iron pyrite's fool's good if you don't know what that is. It works up until the point where the pitcher starts throwing curveballs or other off-speed pitches. What happens then is you're getting ready to punch, you get out here, and then you end up doing that. And that's called walking your dog, or we call it walking your poodle. Doesn't work. And for some people that happens, at the high school level. For me, it happened at the college, Division I level. Okay, I could handle pitching with my punching. I could handle pitching up until probably NAIA division, and then NCAA division. I just fell apart. I struck out a lot. I think my career average at Gonzaga was 250. I had pretty high expectations coming out and getting drafted, and then going on to college. I thought, well, I'm definitely gonna, own this. But that didn't end up happening, and the reason is I was a punch hitter. Okay, your eyes and the movement that your head makes, you have to move forward and your eyes travel and your head travels laterally towards the pitch, you pretty much have to do that, and your movement is at exactly the same time that the pitch is coming towards you. So the exact time that you need to have your head as still as possible, the punch necessitates movement. Your brain just can't process that information, that ball coming at you, while your head's moving. Okay, so you might ask, well, okay, if punching doesn't work, what do big leaguers do? How do they hit? And what they do is what I call the skip. You might be asking yourself, well, what is the skip? And basically the skip is what we call rotational hitting. Okay? And to see this, and this ties in with what I was saying with the hand loading. What the hand loading represents, okay, is the movement that you do when you skip. So when you skip, you're going to stand there as an imaginary pond over there. I've got an imaginary skipping stone. I'm going to move like this, and then I'm going to move like this. Okay? That's what the hand load is in baseball. It's a variation of that take back. Now, if you're going to skip a stone, you can do it a couple ways. I prefer to do this. Okay? That is the hitter basically doing this. Okay? He's moving the bat forward. There's a lot of guys that drop the bat down. What they're doing is this movement. Okay? There's a lot of guys that drop the bat back behind them. What they're doing is this. I think this is the most direct path. If you got a stone and you just went like this and skipped, that's to me the most direct path. I prefer, it's kind of a personal preference, but the most important thing to remember here is this is a variation of the take back in the skip. It's just a personal preference. It's the same, they're doing the same thing. What they're doing is accomplishing the same thing. It's just a personal preference. Okay? Now, as far as how it looks, in slow motion is you are kind of ahead of it, and now you kind of come back behind it. And that is actually what a skip is. Once again, you're ahead of it, and now you're back behind it. The thing's a skip. Now, if you look at where big league baseball players are at contact, what's important is what is actually moving the bat head of the bat, as it's contacting the ball. Now, in an arm swing, what you'll do is you'll get here, you'll block, and then be right here. And I'm punching. My extension of my right arm is actually punching the ball. In a rotational swing or a skip swing, what Major League Baseball players do is what's driving the ball, driving the bat head at impact, is actually the movement of their legs, scissor action in their legs, doing this. And if you look, my head can stay perfectly still that entire time. So it's definitely a skip. The reason why you don't notice this, or the reason why people don't explain it as such, is because you have, in a skip, your forward hand is way out here. It's not back here, but if I decided to put my left arm back, like it would be on a bat, you can see the same type of movement there. So that's why, even people that do it don't associate it with the skip, but when you actually look at the movement of the body, it's definitely a skip.